All right, so because the world didn't burst into flames over the week, there's something basic that I must teach you all before we move on to the main part of this podcast. And it's about what a male and a female are, which I know is really, really hard to understand for a lot of people out there. So let me break it down. See, male, female, you put them together and you get power, right? Or in biology's case, a baby, okay? These are meant to live together and they work. This and this are both males. If this one pretends to be a female, or if I pretend that it's a female and I call it a female, it still doesn't plug in. Crazy, I know, but for some reason, there are people out there who believe that you can put this and this together and get power, or in biology, a baby. No power. Doesn't work.
How dare you!
Now that we have the basics out of the way, we can move on to the actual material discussed in this podcast. I'm your host, The Shoe, and this is The Schumann Show. Oh geez, now that I did that, everybody's gonna be all upset, and yeah, I should have definitely thrown up a hashtag #MeToo or something like that. Everybody feels so abused and violated now. Anyhow, we're going to talk about the court case in Texas that happened over the week, I guess. There was some conflicting reports. I just want to make sure everybody has a story, considering that I only do this once a week and I can't update it every day. So let's just run through everything. Ann Gorialis, and I might be slaughtering her name, but I don't care because as far as I'm concerned, she's a piece of human debris. So I might slaughter it all day on purpose. Anyhow, she claims that her child, James at birth, identifies as a girl. Remember what we went through at the beginning, okay? Just because something claims to be something does not make it true. This is completely obvious, and you would think that Anne, a pediatrician, Dr. Gorialis, or whatever her name is, would understand that. I wouldn't even go to her to go get a Band-Aid if this is the case. That's insane, okay? Anyhow, she claims that because her child once saw Frozen and liked the dress and wanted to wear a dress, all of a sudden her child must be a girl, which is absolutely insane. Anyhow, the father, Jeffrey Younger, claims that Anne has pressured their child to identify as a male. So these are the two conflicting arguments that are going on right now in regards to this court case that is taking place down in Texas. The other thing that I find absolutely crazy is that this is taking place in Texas. Texas. Okay? A red state. I still would be ticked off about it, but I would get more of a background or as to why this is getting so stupid if it was taking place in like a place like California or something like that, because then at least I know it's a crazy socialistic government that doesn't know what reality is in general. And that would, I'd at least be able to understand where they're coming from, even though they would still be completely wrong, which is, I guess, their prerogative. But with that, Judge Cook ruled on Tuesday that a decision over the issue like medical and physical treatment should be reached by the couple together. And this, I believe, I'm sorry, I said Tuesday, that's Thursday. So it overruled Tuesday's decision where the mother had sole proprietorship over the child and what happened with it medically, or with the child medically. That was overruled on Thursday because people like Ted Cruz and the Attorney General began to pressure this court system and issue an investigation into this decision, which I think this judge kind of got a little scared at that and decided to overrule the court. The prior decision on Tuesday was ruled 11-1 in the jury to give Dr. Gorialis sole control of the child's medical and physiological care. That's crazy. 11-1 people think that it's okay for a child to decide it can be whatever it wants to be, which is this denying it of all knowledge of truth. That is like the essence. Like, okay, a child's, is born with pretty much a blank slate. They observe us as adults and then as parents in the way that they see us, right? And they imitate that. They look up to us for wisdom and for guidance. Well, if you are completely denying a truth of what that child is, which is biologically I can't believe that I have to go through this. It's biologically evident, okay? That it is a boy. And when he asks, he is asking because he wants to know, what is the difference? And every child's question, I believe, needs to be taken with extreme seriousness, because I know they can continually go, well, why? Well, why? Why? Well, why? Why? And it can get annoying. I get that. But the reason for that is because they are annoying. And on top of that, they're very curious for what's going on in the world, right? They see everything that's around them and they don't understand how everything works or how it meshes together. But they're hungry for that knowledge. They want to know why things go together. That's why I think it's extremely important to take every child's question seriously, to sit them down and be like, this is why this works. This is how it works. I mean, you don't have to get into like the crazy semantics of something or into the mechanics of how something works or something stupid like that. But you explain things how they will understand it, right? So when this child is asking what he is or starts making claims of something that he is, it's because he doesn't understand why it is that it is. So he sees, Frozen. He doesn't probably fully understand the difference between male and female. And he sees pretty shiny dress at the age of seven, and is like, oh, I want to wear that. When in all reality, his father should, as he did, step in and be like, hey, that's not how men dress. This is what men wear. This is how men act and behave. This is a woman. This is the difference between a man and a woman. Okay? The child may not fully comprehend everything, but it's at least enough. It's at least correcting what that child believes is a lie and correcting it into a truth. Okay? It's extremely important, especially in today's society when everything is being like thrown out the window of what is objective truth and what is biologically proven, and all these different things that are supposedly being made up all the time within our world today. Now, let's see. With the Texas Attorney General said that Child Protective Services would be investigating the child abuse allegations involving the family from Capel, which I guess is where they're from. It's a subdivision. I don't know. I live super far away from Texas, so I have no idea where that is. But with that, I want to go Child Protective Services. This is investigated. We haven't really got into this yet. The father is accusing, I don't want to call her a mother. The reason why I don't want to call her a mother is because she's not. She's not nurturing. She is completely telling this child a lie and screwing this child up for the rest of their life if this is not stopped. That is not something that a mother would do. That is something a monster would do. A piece of human debris. And that's exactly what she is. With that, we look at his claims and accusations are saying that he would take this child and put him in a closet and then tell the child that monsters only eat little boys. Okay? That's pretty crazy for a young child to be able to going through that. Not only are you enforcing all this make-believe garbage, but you're enforcing your own ideology upon this. And I've often thought, like, does she want a girl that badly to the point where she's neglecting her own son in order for the fact that she can have what she actually wanted? Is she unreal? Is she unable to come to terms with what she wanted and what she got? So now she must force this child to live out her will. We see it in some of the cases with parents that make their kids sick or say that they have a condition so that they can claim federal welfare off of it and mental welfare and all that stuff from the government. It's absolutely disgusting that people would do something like that to a child who knows no different. It is just mind-blowing that something like that would happen. He also says that she is only showing him affection when he acts like a girl, therefore enforcing a lie upon this child that he knows no different, but he knows if he acts a certain way, he's going to get affection from his own mom. Let that sink in. This mother is only showing affection if his accusations are true. I do want to put that out there because it hasn't been proven, but these are the accusations in which he is claiming, okay? Going on that route, if this is true, and she is only showing affection to this child when he is acting like something that he's not, that's complete brainwashing. I couldn't imagine being a child and being told that if I don't act a certain way, my mom doesn't love me, or that I'm not going to be treated with love or shown affection or anything like that. For a 7-year-old child, that's for one of your guardians to do that to you is crazy. And it is absolutely child abuse. So, when both parents have been barred from speaking publicly about the case, and I went on to, that's from the BBC, is where I got a lot of this information from, as well as the Washington Post and the Daily Wire. And then I also wanted to get something, considering the Daily Wire is really viewed as a right-wing, completely conservative source of information, which it is. And so am I, obviously. Yeah. I also wanted to get the viewpoint of the other side, so I went to an LGBT website about this, and this is where it kind of got, it was so funny to see the two conflicting sides to this. And it says, both parents were barred from speaking publicly about the case. Conservatives are claiming that this is completely shutting down Mr. Younger's site, and he is forced to shut down his website, Save James, where he posts a bunch of videos with James acting out, but it also shuts down Miss Younger's case, and the LGBTQ community is absolutely livid about this, just as conservatives are about Mr. Younger and his side of it. So, and the LGBT community is upset about Miss Gorialis' side of the things being shut down. We see from the LGBT community that they're ticked about this because they're claiming that the conservatives are using this child to push their transphobic agenda upon this child and use them as a prop, and we're claiming the same thing. The thing is we live in reality, which is crazy. I know it's not make-believe land. We are trying to hold to a certain set of truths that are actually biologically and scientifically proven, that are observable with the naked eye, and there is a reason why the doctor pronounces male or female at the point of birth. There is no in between, all right? I mean, well, there is, but it's an extremely, extremely small percentage of people who are born with gender dysphoria. It's extremely, extremely small. The rest of it is all completely make-believe, and the people who are facing this think that they're a man trapped in a woman's body or a woman trapped in a man's body. That's a mental condition, and they need help. Okay? With that, on his website, I watched a couple videos of this young boy, James, acting like a boy. Crazy! I know! I watched a couple of videos where he was wrestling with his dad. It was pretty cool, but it was the thing that boys do. They wrestle. You know, the dad's picking him up, and the boy comes up and he throws up his fist like he's ready to fight. It was just standard, typical behavior of a boy, which is lived out and makes sense because he is a boy. And every time he acts like a girl, like when he has this video of where he's filming him with his phone, and he's like, well, who told you were a girl? And he's like, well, mommy did. Well, why does mommy do this? Well, mommy paints my nails. Well, mommy puts me in a dress. Well, mommy does this. Mommy does that. It's nothing really to the point of, well, I want to do this, or this is something I want to do. He knows he has to do it in order to gain that affection from his mother. And it's being pushed on him because if you watch the video, he claims, well, my mother says this. Well, my mother tells me that I'm this. See the conundrum? This child is too young to make a decision like this on his own. Okay? As we move on in this, Mr. Younger is also forced to affirm his son's new gender and identity as Luna, which is the name that I guess they picked. And I believe it was Matt Walsh that stated he picked out a name like Fireflower, or it was something crazy from Teen Titans. It was one of those things. And his mom was like, well, you can't pick something like that because that's too crazy. So we got to pick something a little more normal, like Luna. So the child is old enough to pick his gender, but he's not old enough to pick out his name. Because that makes total sense. Because a name that you want to call every child pretends, right? They have crazy amounts of imagination and they pretend to be something that they're not all the time. I mean, I did it as a kid. I still do it. And this child, that was too crazy for his mom. So his mom said, you have to pick something more realistic. I have something that's a little more realistic. How about it's being a boy, which is what he actually is? How hard is that to grasp? I just can't believe that this is going on. When the spark all started, when the child began to express a desire to be a girl in 2015, when the child was 3 years old and asked to wear a dress to look like the female character from the Disney movie Frozen. 3 years old, and all of a sudden the mom's like, yep, that's my evidence, that's what I'm gonna go after. He must think he's a girl, 3 years old, all that wisdom and knowledge packed into that small brain. He has so much life experience, and he must have thought deeply and profoundly about this in his bedroom while playing with toys, and he must come to the absolute conclusion that he is a girl. And I am not going to challenge this in any way. So yeah, my son is a girl. And when this was done, the child, she took him to his annual checkup, and he was diagnosed with gender dysphoria. He was unsure what gender he was, or gender identity disorder is what he was diagnosed with. And then the year after, the doctor wrote that the child was still referring to himself as a female. And why, if he was a female, would you have to say that he's referring to himself as a female? I mean, if he believes he's a female, then he's a female, right? Isn't that how your biology works? Once you believe something, you just are that thing? How do you measure that? Do you measure that in brainwaves? Do you measure it in genetics? Do your genetics just change the moment that you decide that you're going to be something else? What is it measured by? What is your science behind it to prove that once somebody decides that they're something that they're not, you change into that thing? Because I want to know. You say you're the party of science. You say that we're all the science deniers and we don't know what we're talking about. Yet you have no scientific claims or anything to back up. I jumped into an LGBT forum a long time ago underneath a pseudonym, and I was asking these questions, and these were the basis that was given to me at the time from the LGBT community while I was underneath the pseudonym. So I asked, well, how is it that this can be an actually genetic and scientifically proven aspect? Well, the answer that I was given was, well, you're just uneducated. Well, yeah, that's why I'm asking, right? I mean, I was acting like an idiot and trying to get somewhere with these people to actually get them to use the science that they developed. Well, finally I got around to one person. And this one person ended up discussing with me that it has to do with brainwaves, okay? Well, so when your brain works, you send off, it sparks electromagnetic pulses, right? And that's what helps you to think. It helps you to move your hands, your feet, it helps you, your brain tells you your body to do anything and everything, right? Okay, well, if I tell okay, so I hate olives, right? Well, when somebody asks me if I want olives, I get a negative reaction saying, no, I don't want olives because they're disgusting and gross and should all be burned, okay? If somebody offers me, any other food, because I like literally any other food, I'm gonna respond positively and be like, yes, I will take all of your food, right? That sends different brain signals throughout my brain to react in a certain specific way, okay? Because obviously, of course, one is negative and one is positive. So they send off different signals. One is gross, one is not gross. Is that clear? All right. Well, you can't talk back to me. So I'm going to assume it's clear, and if it's not, you're just an idiot. Anyhow, when we go through with that, people get asked then, okay, so are you a boy? Well, if that person has a positive, let's say that female, that genetic female, gets a positive reaction to being a boy and says, yes, I am a boy, then that positive brainwave is going to circulate throughout their mind and they're going to come out with a positive antidote for whatever it is that they're saying, right? So, yes, I am a boy. Okay, so they measure that brainwave, and that is their science for that. Now, if that genetic girl was to say, no, I'm a girl, and then she's unhappy that she is a girl because of whatever reason, that brainwave shoots a negative pulse, thus reaffirming that she is a boy because of what she thinks. Okay? This was the science that I was given between them. Now, if a girl, if the next day she goes to bed and she wakes up, okay, this random chick I made up, okay, she wakes up that next morning and she's like, you know what? Today's a great day to be a girl. Well, then they ask her those same questions. Are you a girl today? Yes, I'm a girl. You know, and she's jacked about it because what not? And I don't know. So she says, yes, I am happy to be a girl today. Well, then that brainwave sends off a positive reaction. And that day she measures as a girl, therefore she is scientifically a girl that day. And they're like, wait, well, aren't you a boy? And she's like, no, I'm not a boy. I mean, I like making sandwiches in the kitchen. Then that sends off a negative reaction, right? And that negative reaction is measured. And it goes, oh, well, then she's definitely not a girl today because that has a negative brainwave. Okay? That is how they end up measuring it. And that was the best answer I got on that form. I mean, that's stupid. So, and I know it gets used a lot. But if I go out and I tell myself that I'm a millionaire, and I'm like, yeah, I'm a millionaire today, my bank account is false. And that's a problem. And I should probably take that to the courts because, you know, they're inhibiting upon my decision to be what I want to be. And I can't handle that. In fact, my brainwaves are telling me that I'm a millionaire. I feel happy as a millionaire. But how come... What's wrong with my bank account? It's nothing wrong with me. It's what's wrong with my bank account. They're the ones who are holding me back. They're the ones who are suppressing me. They're the reason why I can't live out who I truly am. That's how all of this is being formed. I am not a millionaire. I'm not. It's sad. See, and that's a negative brainwave. So therefore, it's reaffirming my conclusion. But in all reality, the background behind all of this is my bank account reflects me and what I am at my social economic scale. Therefore, I am not a millionaire, which is reality. Crazy, I know. But you got to start somewhere. So, with that, as soon as I started to challenge this conversation that was happening on this thread, then I got called I was misogynistic, I was a bigot, I was a homophobe, which I guess is a weak... See, I never got the whole aspect of being called a homophobe, because a phobia is a fear, right? Which means you have to be afraid of that thing, which... Come on, guys. Really? No. I mean... hold on. There's nothing more threatening than a guy chasing you down with a dress and high heels, waving a wand at you, and thinking that he's a fairy. Yeah, I can think of a lot of other things that are a little more threatening than that. But anyhow, maybe it's just... I don't even know. I just never got the usage of that word. It was stupid because it's weird to be afraid of a fairy. Anyhow, going back to this case that's going on, their marriage was annulled at 4 years in 2016 when Gorreales was given exclusive control of decisions regarding medical, psychological, and educational issues. Okay, the child has been dressing as a girl in public, going to school in public as a girl, and requests that she be named Luna. So now not only do you have her mother that is enforcing this belief upon her, but you have the public school system that, and I guess I shouldn't say it's a public school because I don't know where this school is or what kind of school it is. I tried to find it, but I had a little bit of trouble, which is actually, I think, kind of a good thing because with this bit revolving around a child, this child is the main victim of what is going on right now. And I think that child needs to be protected. And I actually enjoyed the fact that I couldn't find where this child went to school. Um, just because of the harassment and stuff that was going or that could potentially go on, and this child's going to have to rest with this for the rest of his life because his mom is too stupid to understand um, what he actually is. um, this but not only is a child being affirmed there, but the child is being told a lie in the school system. Every day that this kid goes to school, he's being called Luna. He's being reaffirmed that he's a female, which is a complete lie. Everywhere, this is completely brainwashing. This is taking a child and reinforcing a lie over and over and over and over again. That child is going to grow up to believe that it is a female, that this child is a female, because everyone that he looks up to, whether that's his teacher, his principal, the student's security guard that is in the halls, even the fellow kids that are around him in that area. Granted, they don't know much different, and you can't really blame them either. But all this reaffirmation is just further and further messing up this poor kid who's having to go through all this. And with them thinking that this isn't invading our schools and that this, was supposed to stay in the bedroom at a period of time, it has now infected our schools. And these kids are being taught to believe a lie of something that isn't true. This is indoctrination at the highest level. They start with your kids, and then these kids grow up thinking that there's something that they're not. And we see that throughout some statistics that people who have trans beliefs or believe that there's something that they're not really end up having higher rates of suicide because they don't have a purpose or a fulfillment in who they actually are, which completely destroys who they are. Because if you don't know who you are, what else really is there? How do you go through life completely pretending that you're something that you're not? And this child is being forced down that path by not only his guardian, but also the teachers, the school system, these doctors that are down there. Like I said, I just can't fathom that this is happening in Texas, because it will happen to a place near you. This will be, if it is not already, a part of your school curriculum that gender is binary and it's not biological. Okay, so the interview with the teachers, the counselors, Luna, and Luna's twin brother. Luna does have a twin brother. And keep in mind that Luna and James are the same person. Okay? I just want to make that clear. And let's say that they've always wanted to be a girl. But we see that really isn't the case. Some of these home videos that we watch of Mr. Younger playing with James is absolutely boyish behavior. He says he wants to wear a t-shirt, he wants to wear jeans, he wants to get dirty and muddy, he wants to wrestle, he wants to play. But when he's at home, he has to accept this identity in order to be accepted around home, or else he gets locked up in a closet. It's brainwashing, like I said, at the very top of the level. Even so much. All right, Mr. Younger argued that his ex-wife pressured their child to identify as a tranny, saying he had been perfectly happy as a boy. This is the guy's father, okay? He's the one who's fighting for truth, fighting for what his boy actually is, so that his child doesn't end up with a messed up psychology of who he thinks he is. Rather, his child will know the truth of what he is and be raised to act like that. And that's extremely important. And we get so carried away between this fight that's going on between the mother and the father. But we have to keep in mind, and we need to really pray for it and think about James, who's going through all this. Seeing his mom and his father fight like this is just, it's got to be just ridiculously hard. And not only that, James does have a twin brother, and he sees him going through all this as well. He has a mother figure and a father figure as well. And to see them both going at it like this, it's got to be hard on both those kids. we talked about that she would lock him in a room saying that monsters only eat boys. Well, Mr. Younger makes the case that how can children who are too young to make that choice make that choice? And he's absolutely right. There are so many things I wanted to be when I was a kid. An astronaut or a firefighter or, like Batman. But that didn't happen, right? Because we see in the movie, hockey pads don't work. So that was something that I wasn't able to be. And that reality was made to me rather quickly. But if I had somebody completely reaffirm, if I had the two people that I looked up to most in my life, and then I went to school and was reaffirmed that I was Batman, I would be really messed up today. A lot more messed up than what I already am. Moving forward, because we don't want to dwell on that, he stated this other thing, which I thought was extremely sad, and I could only imagine what this guy's going through. The courts are not going to be fair with you, he says. The only way you can survive this and get your son through this alive is to calmly allow your son to be tortured right before your eyes and outlast the opposition. He knows that the courts are not going to be fair to him. He knows that the LGBTQRS alphabet community is completely resilient and they own the courts because they're trying to own the entire society, and anybody who disagrees with them, they will bring down with force. And he knows that, and he knows that they've infected the courts. But the only way he believes that he can get through this is to trust the system, to calmly get through it. And in order to do that, he is forced to watch his child be physically and sexually abused. This is sexual abuse in its most foundational practice. The reason why I say that is because it comes down to the actual sex of the child. And that mother is making that decision for him. And she claims that she's not going to use hormonal treatment right now. But when the boy starts to hit puberty, she claims, if this child wants to become a female, then she will introduce some hormone blockers, or it's been alluded to that. That is chemical castration of a child. At the age of 11, you can chemically castrate yourself, but you can't get tattoos. You can't go drinking. You can't start smoking. You can't do all this stuff, but yet you can chemically castrate yourself. The mother has that decision. She can tell that at the age of 11 how that child is going to turn out for the rest of his life. She can completely disregard anything that might happen in his life to change his mind, to further his knowledge, the things that may actually help him realize the actual truth that is surrounding him. She takes that all away, throws it all away, and now you're unable to have a family for the rest of your life because I want to make that decision for you. Because I want to be some mother who is heralded as a hero in the LGBTQ community because I have nothing going for my life and I want to exploit my child in the worst physical way possible by chemically castrating him. It is absolutely disgusting. And she's doing this for complete selfish reasons, or because she can't come to terms that she had a boy instead of a girl, or because she wants to be lifted up as this I'm so holy in the LGBTQ community because I can chemically castrate my own child and use him as a prop to go out there and tell other people that whatever my child decides, he can be. Well, that's not the case. Children are dumb, okay? They need to be smacked around a little bit. They need to be told that this is the truth, this is reality, and this is why it's reality. Because if you continue going through life believing something that you're not, you're going to live your whole life to be a complete lie, and you will never get anywhere in life. And if we go down this instance, you might even have a future of committing suicide because you are not living out who you are. Because the suicidal rates for transitioning kids is way higher than what they are for average kids living in America today. You want to subject your child to that? You want to bring that child into that statistic? You're a monster. With that, she claims that this would consider hormone suppression once the twins reach puberty, and only if she persists in identifying as a girl. Only if she persists. What do you think she's going to do? If the courts rule this way, to where she has sole proprietorship over this child, how do you think the child's going to decide all this at the age of 11? If that child knows that the only way that they're going to gain love and affection is to become a female or to claim to be a female, that child at the age of 11 is still going to claim to be a female because it needs its mother to love him, because that his mother figure is his foundation. It's what he looks at. It's what feeds him. It's what clothes him. It's what houses him. He has to rely on that. And not only that, that's the only person that he comes home to. What do you think the child's going to pick? And now you're going to chemically castrate him for it? Because you've been brainwashing him your entire life? You know how this train goes. The LGBT alphabet letter people pushing their agenda on all this is absolutely crazy. We were back in the 90s, they said, well, it's just going to stay in the bedroom. Just live how we live. Just let us live how we want to live. You don't have to be susceptible to us. You don't have to have it infringed upon your life. What do we see now? It's being infringed upon every one of our lives. It's being pushed in the schools. We see kids being taken to these drag queen things at libraries now to expand their horizons. Yeah, because that's going to look really good on a resume. Hey, so you want to be an engineer here at our facility? Well, what are some of your qualifications? Well, I once saw a tranny strut around in a library. You're hired. No, that's not how any of it works. How does that help with mathematics, grammar, anything like that? It doesn't. It's just simply them putting their agenda on other people so that they can grasp more and more control of our kids in the world today. And it's absolutely disgusting. Not only are they pushing it on there, but they're pushing it upon our businesses. We see with the baker in Colorado, they're continually coming after this guy, telling him to make stuff that he has already claimed he won't, and then taking him to court over it. It's his business. He can do whatever he wants. Why can't you just go down the street to somebody else and have them make you a cake? It's so dumb. And the fact that they wanted this, they started this whole thing with whatever happens in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. Yeah, we'll keep it that way. And tell you what, just don't come out. You're destroying society as we see it today. That is all you're doing. Nothing. The fact of being gay, bi, lesbian, whatever you want to call yourself, does nothing to promulgate society. You can't make children, which is what, genetically men and women are supposed to do. So whatever advancement you think you're doing to society, you're not. With that, this whole child abuse thing that's going on, like I said, if what he is saying is absolutely true, then this is child abuse. And it needs to be brought out, and it needs to be viewed as such. Because this child's life will be changed for the rest of his life if this continues. I think that if the court rules in favor of Mr. Younger, that there can be some reversal. But it will take some work. It will take some true doctoring for this child to be raised like this, and it will take a strong father figure to make this kid disregard these lies that his mother has been feeding him through his entire life. The future, what we see in front of us, looks really bleak, especially with all this happening in Texas. America is on the downslide, and few of people are willing to take a stand for the world today. We're too weak. We don't want to stir the pot. We don't want to go out into public and make these because we might lose our jobs, or we might be looked differently within our neighborhood. Well, so what? Maybe we should be. Maybe we need to set ourselves apart from how this world is actually going and take a stand and fight for what should actually be going. And I don't mean physically and violently. Take a chill pill, okay? I mean, we need to start standing up for these people in the courts. And it is absolutely happening. I give a lot of credit to Matt Walsh for starting the Save James thing, as well as his father. They started a hashtag on Twitter, and once it seemed to really rise up, that's when Senator Ted Cruz came in, Dan Crenshaw, and the Attorney General started his investigation. We have a voice now. It might not seem like a whole lot, and granted, I don't think it is a whole lot, but we have the ability to try to stop stuff like this from happening. We need to make our voices heard. We need to stand up for things that are wrong. Yeah, it might affect us personally, but as far as I'm concerned, I care way more about this kid and what's going on in his life and how he might turn out than me possibly getting fired or whatever else may happen in my life. I get looked at differently. Ooh, I'm already looked at differently. Have you not seen my face? It's weird. Okay? Take a stand for who you are. And take a stand for the future of your children and your children's children, because the world, as messed up as it is today, in our world today, it's going to be way worse in the future. We need to not only do that, but us as Christian men and women within the church, we need to rely on God for Him to give us the guidance as to how to stand up to these crazy people in today's society and how to combat that. One final thing that I want to discuss. So I was initially done recording this, and then I hopped on Twitter, which was just horrible because it's filled with just garbage, is what it is. And I come across this post by Justin Peters that says, "I have purposely held off on the Kanye West thing. Though I am grateful that he has clearly heard the truth, the genuineness of his conversion cannot be known until it is tested by persecution and temptation to compromise." Oh man, you're just full of trash is what it is. Let's be honest, all right? I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You hear somebody comes to Christ, okay? Doesn't matter who it is. Somebody comes to Christ, and immediately you're like, oh, well, I'm not sure if you're genuine about this or not, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see if your works add up to be enough to make it into heaven, because, simply believing in Christ is not enough. You have to prove that you believe in Christ. You have to prove it through all these works. You have to prove it through how you live your life, because we don't know if you're genuine or not, and apparently I am the sole proprietor of deciding whether you make it into heaven or not. It has nothing to do with your relationship with God. It has nothing to do with your genuine conversion with God in that moment. No, it has to do with how the rest of the Christian community decides who you are and decides if you have enough works to make it into heaven or not. You know what? That post is complete trash. Just absolute garbage to come at a fellow Christian like that. We should be lifting this person up. We should be coming to them with advice on how to become a disciple, how to become an overcomer, how to help them grow in the faith. And instead, we as Christians immediately want to jump on the porch fix, I don't know what a porch fix is. That's pretty neat though. But we need to jump on our pitchforks and go to town on this guy and be like, well, we'll find out if you're genuine in a few years or if you're still genuine when you die, because that's how we do things now. Just utter and complete trash from Justin Peters. Anyhow, that's all I have to say on that. Why can't we just take God for His word? And when He says that we believe Him, we receive the grace of God that comes into us, and that we are completely and eternally saved at that moment. Anything else is completely blasphemy. So, yeah, fight me. That is pretty much all I have for today. I really want to hit on what's going on in Hong Kong, but the news cycle is just so nuts and blown out of proportion that it's hard to take a moment and do that, especially considering doing this only once a week. I mean, if I had more time, I'd love to do this every day, but it is... I think that we really need to focus on what is happening in Hong Kong and those people over there. My heart goes out to all those guys fighting for freedom, especially with Americans today fighting to be more communist and socialistic. It's just absolutely gross. So, in closing, quick review. Female, male, they go together. The other ones do not. Okay? So if you at least got something out of this entire thing, I hope it's that. I'm your host, The Shoe, and this has been The Schumann Show.